welcome everybody for the very first edition of the Down with the Buffaloes podcast. Got a really good show for you tonight. We've got Imran Majid. Gareth, what do you think? I mean, it's going to be a good one.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to this. I've known Imran for many years, and I'm really looking forward to an in-depth chat with him and just to rekindle and refresh his mind over many years of me knowing him and obviously his full success. So let's get it on.
Brilliant.
I'm ready
Now, I
when
know
you are.
you're out in the sticks. You're out in the sticks a little bit there, so we'll have to play it by ear a little bit with your connection. But guys, here's Imran. We've got him in. Tell us a little bit about. I know you pair have got a lot of history between yourselves, going back many years. I mean, just branch out a little bit about that, guys. Where did that sort of begin?
Well, I'll start it off. Basically, I came about Imran many years ago, probably about 36, 37 years ago, because I was in class with his sister Syra, and I just started on my journey playing snooker, and then there was this young whippersnapper that kept coming in the club and always nicking 5 and 10 quids off me. You know, this was many years ago. And this whippersnapper's the man on our view at the moment, Imran. I've got such a history with this guy. I've known him for donkey's years. Imran, over to you, mate. We've got many stories to talk about, mate, and I'm ready to share many a story with people out there.
Yeah, first of all, good evening, guys. Pleasure to be on the show. And me and Gareth go way back. We went to the same school. And after school, some days I used to go around Gareth's place to play snooker. And you had an apartment in Hounslow West, which was just around the corner from our school. And it was like 3 or 4 times a week things. Me and Gareth used to play snooker there, and we used to have some really good battles. Yeah, I mean, we used to play really good snooker at that time. I mean, talking years ago.
You're right, Imran.
Well, you're right, Imran. Where you gone?
What's that?
My laptop. Yeah, it's okay now.
That's all right. Well, you still got it. That's the main thing.
Yeah. Like I was saying, the standard we used to play at then was phenomenal. Really, I used to have like a century. You'd come back with a century, then I'd have another one. You'd have another one. Sometimes 5 or 6 centuries in a day's play. You know.
Absolutely. Yeah, go for it. Go for it, mate.
And I remember I had my first 147 break against you as well.
You certainly did. I was actually going to say that because I remember we played for. I'll never forget it. We had you was down to your last 10 quid that you had in your pocket one time, and I actually beat you 5-4, and I knocked in a 138 break, and the following day you came back and you was determined to get it off me. And we played it again. This time we played a race to 9. I think back then it must have been for around 15-20 quid. And you had a couple of 50 breaks and a couple of 80 plus breaks, and then you hit your magical 147 against me. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, it was my first one. I was over the moon. I actually couldn't sleep that night. I was just going through the break in my head. The first red was phenomenal. I just rolled it in dead weight from the back cushion, and from there it's quite an immaculate break actually, if you remember it. The cue ball was on a string, and no flukes or nothing like that. Not out of position once, and I remember that clearly. Yeah, it's one of my highlights in the snooker career.
Yeah, because I tell you what, it's such a shame that we didn't. It's such a shame that we didn't have the technology that we have today, Imran. Because I tell you what, could you imagine showing the public what me and you used to get up to 30 years ago?
Yeah,
you know, that's on the snooker table. Let alone what you're doing now on the blooming the pool scene. Do you know what I mean? Because I sort of pulled away from it then. Like I say, I got into other things, into sort of more into the property side of things, and you carried on. And then the next thing I knew about it, we did lose our way for a few years. And the next thing I knew, do you remember you won the News of the World competition?
That's right. It was a World Championship qualifier back in the day when the World Championship was hosted in Cardiff by Matchroom. And I won the UK qualifier, and it was my baptism of fire. And I went to the World Championship, played my first ever TV match. Yeah.
That was awesome, wasn't it? And like I say, we've had such fun along the way, because I saw you. How I came about playing in the American pool again was because of this man. I was just at home, and I put Sky Sports on, and he was, like he said, this was about 2003, 2004, and there he was on the TV, and I managed to track his phone number down. And he said, "Oh, Gareth, come straight down to Cardiff." I went down there and I hadn't seen him for 10, 15 years. And the connection we've got, we just hit it straight off immediately. And he took me in straight away under his wing, showed me all the ropes. Just tells you what sort of guy he is. You know, there was no like, "Oh no, you stay back." You know what I mean? He was right at the highest level of pool back then. And Imran, I can't but actually congratulate you on what you've achieved so far for the English circuit.
Thank you.
You've been a dominant force. And how have you done that for so long?
Well, I don't know really. I think it's just me.
Well, it's
my work ethic has been pretty good over the years. I do put in the hours. I go to the club and practice 3 to 4 hours a week. Apart from that, I can't really put the nail on the head. I mean, it's just me really.
Well, this is one of the things I was going to say. I mean, it's interesting when you guys were talking there, because it was like, oh, we're playing for the odd £5 note here and there. I think it would more be like a pound note, wouldn't it, rather than a £5 note, guys?
Yeah, it would have been back in them days. Yeah,
none of us are getting any younger, but that was one of the things I was going to mention, Imran. Anyway, what is the secret to your success? I mean, you've been around, you know, a long time. You're playing really consistently, especially at the moment on the 9-ball tour. You've had some really good scalps, to be honest. I mean, you've Kachi, Albin, Shevchek, Al Qaedi, Dok Hwang at the recent German Open. I mean, that's well, some of them are like, it's nearly half the Mosconi Cup team. I mean, what is the secret to the consistency? I mean,
well, we were just talking about me and Gareth playing snooker back in the day, and I really think having a good foundation was a big part of it. Playing snooker on a 12x6 and playing like every day for 3 or 4 hours, I kind of got this technique sort of embedded in me that I feel I can pop any ball on the table. And I think it's a little bit psychological. You come off a snooker table, go onto a pool table, and because it's like half the size, you just feel you cannot miss. So I would put it down to having a sound technique and keeping that and sustaining that for a long period of time. Yeah.
Do you ever play any snooker still, or is it?
I do. I religiously go to the club once a week just to play snooker, and I do 50 long blues, straight in blues, just to help my cueing. Now I've bumped that up to 100 long straight blues, but I will do that over a couple of hours.
How many are you getting out of 100?
Cueing in check. I think my best was 74. Yeah, out of 100.
That's good, mate.
This is with my 9-ball cue, obviously.
I was just about to say, is that with your American pool cue? So yeah,
American pool cue. Yeah. I've had lots of 65s and 70s. My highest was 74. And it's not easy with an American pool cue. You've really got to keep still on the shot, and your fundamentals have to be, totally sound.
Imran, the question I've always wanted to ask you is, why didn't you turn professional at snooker? Because you were absolutely brilliant at that game. Did the 9-ball come into the game at the same time? Because it was roughly that same time. Because Steve Knight was on the scene then. So was there a big influence with Steve Knight and your career, and it took you away from the snooker back then, Imran?
Yeah, there's no doubt
you had the ability to go all the way.
It was exactly how you just put it. I was a snooker player playing in all these snooker tournaments all around the country at an amateur level. Then I came across this 9-ball tournament once. I was driving down the road. I saw 9-ball tournament, £1,000 for the winner. I thought I'd have a go at that. So I went to the tournament and I won it at my first attempt. So everyone says, this is your game. I beat all the best players in the country. And everyone says, where have you been? You're like, this is like, what do you call it? Duck to water. And to tell the truth, I never looked back since. Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, one of the things I was going to ask you as well, now I'm just going to do a little bit of a screen share here for you. Might take a few seconds to come on, but I just want to pick your brains a little bit on this when it decides to share, and it will do in a moment. But it's actually the rankings. Just give it a second. I just want to make this pop up, because I notice at the moment with the world rankings, where are you? You're about 47th. I'm just going to let that share in a minute. We'll just have a a little chat about that in a moment when it comes up. But like I say, with obviously the success you've been having on the 9-ball tour, I mean, in regards to the rankings, there we go. Sorry about that. Took ages to share for some reason again, but you can see there.
Oh, there I am.
Highlighted 47, and that's the rank. Obviously, the rankings. I mean, do you think that? I mean, obviously, you've been playing really well, but
Is
do you
this
think
the
that's
updated rankings? Is it?
Yeah, I think.
After,
Well, maybe it's the latest one I could get, but
Is
the
it,
main.
I think this is after. I think this is after Lugo. I think.
Yeah. The
Yes,
main
I think it's the
thing
most up
is,
to
I mean,
date.
there obviously you've been playing really well, but do you think that's a fair reflection of obviously your standard you've been playing at? I mean,
yeah, I wouldn't say it recent success. I mean, I've done okay, but to my standards, I could have done a bit better in some of these tournaments. It's just been, a little bit unfortunate. I've bumped into some of the elite of the game, like your Joshuas, your Catchies, your Albins, who have beat me at the latter stages of the tournament. Recently, I lost to Fedor, which is, we were close 6-6 at one stage. I should have gone 7-6. But yeah, when you come up against the elite in the world today, you really have to find that extra gear. And sometimes your A game might not be enough, So yeah, it's fine margins, a scratch here and there or a missed ball here and there can cost you the match against the world's elite. But I'm going to keep at it, knocking on the door. Trying to break down that next barrier, if you like. And
yeah, well, that was what I was going to come to actually, because when it's good point you're saying about the next barrier. What would be your biggest goal that you want to achieve? Going forward now with obviously your American pool career, what would be the number one thing for you to get achieved in regards to that? Do you think?
yeah, well, I've been playing the game for a long time, and I've never won a world ranking event, and definitely that would be my goal, to win a matchroom event now on the World 9-Ball Tour. And I'm gonna keep on batting. I'm gonna keep trying hard. I'm pushing up my work ethic. Instead of doing 2 hours a day, I'm doing 4 to 5 hours a day now, and I think the results will come through naturally. I just got to be patient, keep working hard. I've been doing stuff off the table as well, which has been helping a lot. Swimming once a week to help with my stamina, increasing the heart rate, because when you're under pressure, your heart does pump a lot, and you want to try and replicate that. And swimming has been pretty good for me, recently in the last 2 or 3 years, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, some of these matches, I mean, well, yeah, they are. You can play the best you've ever played, and you can feel great, and then it can be it's really draining. I mean, obviously, we played lots of games all of ourselves, and I know what it's like. You play amazing, and you have a really good win, and then you're feeling good, and then you come to the next match, and sometimes you want to try to reproduce how you previously, but it just doesn't even happen sometimes, and you're thinking, well, what's gone on? I mean, what's different? And you might feel good still, but it just doesn't happen sometimes, and it can be so draining. I mean, especially on these matchroom events where you're coming up against really good players all the time. I mean, how do you sort of handle that sort of thing?
No, you're spot on there, Matt. Not every day is the same for every pool player. You might be flying one day and the next day you can't pot a ball, as we all know. But to keep that consistency, you just got to keep working hard and believe in yourself. I think that's a big part of it. Yeah, I've started believing in myself
Does
a
a
lot
routine
more.
play a lot in your game, Jim?
Sorry?
Does routines play a lot in your game
Like,
in order to keep that? Yeah, just going through like a pre-shot routine. Like,
oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, coming from a snooker background, I've always had that, good fundamentals, a good pre-shot routine, and I follow that every shot. And I've done that, since day one, since when I used to play you years ago, and I've kept to that, haven't changed anything, but I've religiously kept to my pre-shot routine. Yeah. Do my aiming, not when I'm down on the ball, step back from the shot, then walk in 2 steps, get your alignment right. And that's kept me in good stead over the years.
Yeah, what I wanted to ask you about was the Moscone Cup. There, we've got the new captain there, Ralph Urquhart. What's your views on the Moscone Cup this year? And like I say, do you see yourself trying to get back into the Moscone Cup, or because I see you as somebody that could potentially be a captain of that
Oh, do
European
you?
side? Absolutely, mate. I don't see that being any issue because like you've got a lot of experience at it. You know how the game's totally played. You know all the players. And I think that, you know, from what I've seen over the years, you've absolutely got the mould to put people together. What's your view on that, Imran?
Well, that's a pretty good point, actually. Yeah, I think I would be a very good captain. Yeah. People say I've got this presence about me and kind of maybe an authoritative figure, maybe sometimes. Yeah, so that would be great if I could be the Moscone captain one day. But I've never even really thought about it. But with the recent selection, Ralph Eckert, I think it's a great pick. I've known him for a long time. Great player, very knowledgeable, and loves his trick shots. Has dedicated his life to pool, and I think he thoroughly deserves it. Yeah. Yeah, so a great pick for me. Yeah, Ralph Eckert.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to the Moscone Cup when it comes around because of all this. I mean, and in general with Matchroom doing what they're doing, it's driving all this interest. I'm really looking forward to the Moscone Cup, and I think Team USA are going to be pretty keen to take it down this year. I mean, obviously they always are, but I just get the vibe that they're going to be gunning for it. I mean, what do
Yeah,
you
I
think
think
about
this year more than any other year, I think they're kind of getting the needle, especially Shane. You know, I think Jeremy Jones was picked as the American captain a few days ago, and Shane put a post up on Instagram that come on, Jeremy, let's concentrate on getting the cup this year. So yeah, I feel like they really want it this year, and they're going to put on a good show. But I still think the Europeans, yeah, too much strength in depth there, and that's the main issue the Americans will have. Yeah.
Well, you say that. I mean, I know in previous cups. I mean, I've noticed when the Americans do get a bit of a stronghold, the European players, we have seen them tweak a little bit here and there under that pressure. But Moscone Cup is all about the pressure, isn't it? And I think anyone can succumb to that pressure, no matter how good you
That's a
are.
good point, actually, Matt. Talking about the Moscone Cup, and I have been a part of the Moscone Cup. I was actually in the team, and that playing in that pressure cauldron, I think, can set you up. You can play anywhere in whatever arena around the world with thousands of people in the crowd. You know, after you've played in the Moscone Cup and felt the pressure, obviously it's the biggest stage in the world of pool and it's the biggest spectacle. I think you can handle any club, any tournament, any arena. And yeah, that's what's put me in good stead as well.
It's unbelievable, that pressure. I mean, I always remember when Fabio Petroni was playing, and was it Steve Davis that was comforting him when he was like sort of in tears?
Yeah, I remember
think
that one.
that was a few years back, wasn't it? But it was
I mean, I was shaking
good,
like a leaf when I first went out in my first match at the Moscone Cup, but I handled the pressure well. I was shaking, to be honest. Yeah, but I put on a good performance against Johnny Archer, who was in his heyday at that time. He was a top-notch player, and I managed to beat him 7-2. Then me and Nick Vandenberg went on to beat Strickland and Rodney Morris. They were undefeated for 6 times before that in 6 years. Me and Nick went there and dusted them off the table. So,
oh wow,
yeah,
broke the duck.
that gave me a lot of confidence in my career.
Well,
and
speaking about these team events, I mean, what was your take on? I mean, surely you must have ambitions to go for that World Cup of Pool again, the team event again. I mean, is that something you want to try to get involved with next year?
Yeah, the World Cup of Pool is one of the biggest tournaments of the year. And see, the way it works is people fail to realize it's not a ranking event, the World Cup of Pool. So the way it works is if 2 of your top players are in the top 32 on the World 9-Ball Tour, right, they automatically are the pick.
Yeah.
If you have 1 player in the top 32, and in this instance it's Jason Shaw, he's high up there, number 8 or 9 or whatever, he gets to pick his partner. So he's chosen.
Oh, that's how it works.
For a couple of years, and Chris Melling's played with Jason a couple of times, so I feel that I'll get my chance, and you know, one day maybe Jason might pick me. Yeah,
well, it's
so,
interesting you were
Well,
saying
it's not even just
Come.
it's not even just that really, because like you just said there, if you're automatically in the top 32, you know, and I don't think you've got someone, again, going back to your talent and what you can do. The fact that you're only at 47, another couple of good results will put you instead for next year, probably comfortably, Jim. So that's a good thing to strive for, isn't it? Because like you said, it's one of them world events that you want to play in. So it's in your basically what I'm saying is in your hands.
yeah, definitely, that is one of my goals, to get into the top 32. So then it will be me and Jason. But you know, there's other great players from the UK as well. There's Chris Melling, there's Darren Appleton, there's Elliot, and you know, some fierce competition. So it's not a given, but maybe I might be lucky one day, and Jason might choose me.
Just talking about that, we have had a question come in from somebody. I'm just going to put it up on the screen here right now. It's a bit of a long one, but there's the gist of it anyway. You know, who were the, in your opinion, as you can see there, look, are you the top ranked UK player other than Shaw?
Well, right now, yes, I am the highest ranked British player.
Interesting.
And then I
second
think
question
it's
there as well.
Chris Melling, then Darren Appleton, then Elliot Sanderson, or Darren's before Chris, I think. And obviously, it's unfortunate what happened to Darren. And you know, maybe I wouldn't be that pick if Darren was still playing. You know, I still think if Darren didn't have that unfortunate incident with his health, he would probably be higher than me, because he's an absolute monster, and he's won every tournament under the sun, bags of experience. And forget me, you know, he was one of the best in the world. He was just dusting everyone off the table a few years ago when he had his good spell. So yeah, it's unfortunate for Darren.
Second question, look, who do you feel are the top 9-ball players, and yourself, pro or non-pro in the UK?
Yeah, just before you answer that, Imran, I totally respect what you just said there about what the achievements of Darren, and knowing full well what he's achieved, to actually put him ahead of yourself in that regard. Because what I've found over the years, a lot of pool players, they don't like to tell other players how good they are. So I'd like to give you full respect for what you just said there about Darren, and about the situation, about the level that you would be competing against. So hats off to you for that, mate.
No, thank you. But you know, it's common knowledge. Darren is he's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the best in the world. It's just unfortunate what happened to him. His game is leagues above mine, and he's got much more knowledge than I have. Yeah, it's just unfortunate what happened. But you know, Darren's a fighter. I think he's back hitting balls now, and he's playing in some American tournament soon. I think the one in Rax coming up end of September. He signed up for that. So yeah, before we know it, we're going to see Dynamite back in action.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when he was obviously in the UK playing a lot on the GB 9-ball tours, the older tours as well, and then he did go across the stateside and he put the time in, and he was playing a lot all over, and that's one of them big contributors.
Well, for me, it's the 6 months he spent in the Philippines playing all the top boys there, and playing for some, you know, some good challenge matches for some decent amounts of cash. And you're talking about the absolute elite in the world, your Efrons, your Bustamantes, your Arcanos, you know, mixing it up with them every day, playing long races, race to 30s and stuff. Really, he served his apprenticeship there, and that's when his game went up leaps and bounds.
Interesting second point of that question that came. It was, I mean, who would you consider UK players, pro or non-pro, sort of shout out to in terms of the, you know, the stature of their game, the way they play? I mean, obviously yourself, of course, you've got these Darren Appleton we were talking about, but what about non-pro players? I mean, is there any of them that you can shout? I mean, the people, because the UK, I mean, the UK is a good scene for American pool in terms of the stature of the players. There's not enough of them getting out there to play in these bigger events and things. I mean, is there any other people you can think of that could be of that ilk? I mean, Mark Gray would be one in my mind, but I know he's
we've got so many great players like Mark Gray, Daryl Peach, Benji Buckley, Marcel Price, Damien Massey. The list goes on. Elliot Sanderson, but I wouldn't class them as pros, and I wouldn't even class myself as a pro, maybe, because it's I don't make enough money out of the game, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. It's
I
interesting.
would class a pro as someone like Shane Van Boning, or they can actually make a decent living to live off. But saying that, we're in good hands at the moment with Matchroom Pool, and we've been it's going to increase, and I'm very confident that it will happen. They're basing this model around their snooker and darts, which is they're tried and tested and very successful models. So there's no reason why the same can't happen in pool. So we're just waiting for that moment to come, and it's exciting. A lot of players have got a new lease of life, if you like, playing the game. For years, I mean, pre-pandemic, pool was quite stagnant globally. I think just plodding along, if you like. You had your couple of Euro tours, couple of WPA events, a World Championship in Qatar. Didn't have any sort of clear structure, and there wasn't enough tournaments. But now with Matchroom Pool, especially for me as well, it's like, hey, there's something to play for now. Yeah, and got to get your cues out, start practicing a bit more, and start getting some results.
Have you got any ambition to play on any more Euro tours?
Sorry, Matt, one sec, mate.
Yeah, I was just saying off the back of you mentioned Euro Tour there. Have you got any more ambition to play in any more Euro tours?
I might play the odd one here and there, but I haven't for a couple of years. I kind of got it kind of got a little bit boring for me, actually, playing on the Euro Tour. It wasn't leading anywhere, if you know what I mean. So it was okay, and it was a very good organization. The Euro Tour is probably the best tour in the world, and a lovely equipment, always playing in nice hotels. But I did it for so many years that it kind of got monotonous after a little while. And I did have my couple of wins on the Euro Tour. I think I've had 6 finals as well, loads of semi-finals. So I've had some success in it. But now with the World 9-Ball Tour, I want to concentrate on playing Matchroom events, because there's some future benefits down the line, like invitationals and World Cup of Pool, and and the prize money is going to be a lot better, and it may be lucrative in the future for me. And I would encourage all budding up and coming players to this is a great time to be involved in pool and start playing these Matchroom events, because as you can see, I'm an OAP. I'm 50 years old, but I'm still hanging with the best in the world, and you can have a long career. It's not like you have to stop at 45 or anything like that. I still think I can play well into my 60s at a good level. Look at Efren Reyes. He was still winning tournaments in the Philippines, beating all these young guns at the age of 62, 63, smashing all those young guns apart. And recently, I think yesterday or the day before, Ralph Souquet won a big tournament in Germany, the Bremen Cup.
Yeah, the Bremen Open.
He beat all those youngsters from Germany. And there's no substitute for experience in this game. Trust me. Yeah,
that's right. And
it goes a long way.
Ralph done well in Scotland, didn't he? As well in the Matchroom event up in Scotland at McGoldrick's. I think he got beat in the semi-final. I think against was it Jason Shaw that beat him?
That's right. When I watch Ralph, his game hasn't changed from like 20 years ago. Yeah, when he's playing well. Obviously, he might have the off day here and there, and we all do. But he's keeping his game to a high standard as well. After so many years, and he's obviously putting in the work ethic still, practicing hard, traveling to all these tournaments worldwide. So he deserves what he gets.
Yeah, it was good to see Tony Drago back in Fulda, actually. I was watching it on Sky. I managed to go to the Spanish Open, but unfortunately, I didn't get into the Fulda one. I didn't even know they were advertising it. That's because I wasn't there. But we used to have some great times, didn't we, on our travels? Me, you, Tony, and Raj. We used to go to America all the time. Do you remember them journeys, Jim?
Oh yeah. There was loads of them, and yeah, it was us like a foursome. Yeah, me, Tony, Drago, Raj, and yourself going to all these tournaments, and we used
All
to have
over
a
the
whale
state.
of a time, you know.
Yeah,
And
didn't
we used to support each other in our matches, and
Yeah.
that was our apprenticeship, if you like. Yeah, and I don't think any pool player can come on and burst on the scene and start dominating. No, you have to pay your dues. You have to have that experience to do well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd agree with
speaking
that.
of that experience, obviously UK pool scene we know it is quite stagnant at the moment. There's a lot of good players out there, but as I said earlier, none of them are really taking full advantage of all the 9-ball tour and the matchroom thing that they're all offering. I mean, I know some of them are, but on the grapevine, as we know, the GB 9-ball tour may be transpiring again. I mean, what's your take on that? Would you be up for playing in that if that's going to go ahead again?
Well, you say UK pool has been stagnant, but I disagree because there's so many tours in London right now. There's let me list them. There's London's Finest. There's the Total 9-ball tour. There's SMB tour, and if you go a bit further up the country, you've got your Solihull series.
Yeah, I
Then
mean,
you've
I'm
got
playing
your
that myself.
McGoldrick series in Glasgow. So,
Yeah.
if you can get to these events, if you can travel, there is quite a lot going on. I can play in a tournament every sort of other week here, just on my doorstep or in and around London. And that wasn't always the case before when GB9 was flourishing, if you like.
Yeah.
But now, because we do have a player base in the UK, promoters are seeing scope for having tournaments, and there's quite a lot going on actually. Yeah, but
Yeah, that's right.
I have heard that on the grapevine that GB9 is coming back, probably next year. I know that there's a venue being secured. I can't go into any more details than that. Apart from that, it's actually going to happen. So that's some good
Well, that'd
news
be a
for
really good
the
thing,
UK
of
pool scene.
course, for UK. I mean, I know the GB 9-ball tour ran for a long time, and before that there was the old the B Triple PA, and before that there was Doug and Brenda's tour, of course. And
Good old Ted
that,
Bristow.
Yeah.
yeah, Ted Bristow, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it'd be really good if the GB 9-ball tour does kick off again, because like I said, there is a lot of good players out there right now that I know a lot of them aren't actually playing in some of those tournaments that are going on that you were mentioning a minute ago.
Yeah, I do.
But
I
hopefully
do
that'll bring
believe
some
a
more of them out of the
a
woodwork.
tour like the GB9 is essential for the UK pool scene. It was also almost like we're a family, like a family of players meeting each other every 2 months at this hotel in Telford, and it almost wasn't like you're going for a tournament. There wasn't that seriousness about it. It was more like meeting up with your mates and having a drink, going out
Yeah.
for meals, and it's a good escape from your family life, if you like.
That's one of the things I loved about the GB9, well, American pool, playing on the tournaments I've played in, is that everybody seems to get on with everybody. And if you've got not a problem, but if you want to ask someone a question about some advice or something, everybody's always willing to help you. There's none like, I mean, I've played in other Q Sport events, tournaments, and it's totally different with American pool. Everybody just gets on with everybody, and it's that's really nice, I think, about the game.
Yeah, I have to reiterate on that. They're a lovely bunch, and any sort of newcomers that came in on the tour, we'd always welcome them and show them the
Yeah.
ropes, and make them feel at home on our tour. And that's why it was growing all the time. I do miss it. It's sad, but watch this space. There's going to be a tour next year. I'm pretty confident about that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, speaking of amateur players, I mean, I know you've had a bit of a thing helping a lot of these amateur players out over the years, especially recently. I mean, just tell us a bit about that. I think you even do a little bit of coaching, I think, as well yourself. Is that something that you do as well?
Yeah, I've been happy to share my knowledge and information over the years with up and coming players, and a lot of people do come to me for advice and coaching and stuff like that. But I'm happily telling them, if you've got a problem with this, come and see me. Actually, Gareth, in Spain, you asked me, you had a problem with your game, and I said, give me 5 minutes, we'll find a pool table, and I'll sort it out. He was slightly... What was it? You weren't hitting center of the white. You couldn't stun the ball. It would kind of move to the left or the right.
That's correct.
And that was your Q-tip position. It wasn't the middle of the cue ball. A lot of people think they know where the middle of the cue ball is, but they don't actually. They're slightly hitting left or right.
Absolutely.
So if you concentrate on your CTP a bit more, your Q-tip position, that ball will stop dead right there. And
exactly. It was good to have that 5 minutes with you, because, like I say, it was. You looked at my whole technique. You said nothing wrong with it, and it was just that looking. It was just the alignment of the Q-tip, basically.
Was that off the back of that game with Shane Van Bonen, Gareth?
Yeah, that was.
That was in Lugo, and I just have to say I loved it when you came in your Darth Vader outfit, and that was a massive spectacle for me. And when I talked to you afterwards about it, you said, "Well, Jim, I know I'm not going to beat Shane Van Boning or win the tournament." You were very realistic about it, and I just wanted to have my little bit of fame on the TV. And I thought, wow, there's nothing wrong with that. And thank you for being totally honest. You're probably not going to beat Shane, and you're probably not going to win the tournament. But saying that, let's not put you down as a player. You are a very good cueist, and if you dedicated a bit more time to the game, you can see some major scouts coming your way. I mean, you've been close with Skylar Woodward, haven't you? Hill match, I think, or 9-7, something like that.
Yeah, that was in London. The copper box.
Yeah, you've got the pedigree. You can do it.
Yeah,
I would shoot at it from you.
Much appreciated, mate. Yeah.
American pool. If you both play at a high level, it doesn't matter how good you are. Anybody can still beat anybody. Now, I know it doesn't happen all the time, but it still does happen. And that's one of the other good things about the game. Even for lesser players, I mean, they've still got a chance of beating a top player. I mean, it does happen, and we've seen
with the nature of the game. Yeah, absolutely, Matt. You can beat the best in the world, but you can actually lose to the worst in the world as well.
Which
might
not be down like fault. A buffalo comes into it.
Yeah, you can go down like a buffalo any time in this game. It's a little bit cutthroat, but and it might not be them. The game can beat you. Combination, 9 balls on the break, fluking balls. It's not their fault. They can sometimes beat you, and that's why I do think 9 ball is a very popular game because of that nature about it.
Jim, just saying that, do you think that 9 ball could benefit from like the sort of like the 10 ball rules where it's like cool shot and things like that, or potentially getting rid of the jump cue? Is there an argument for that, Jim, to take the game forward, or would it not take it forward?
I don't think it would take the game forward because having flukes in a rack of 9 ball is a big part of the game, and it's always been that way. And it creates kind of drama when a guy misses a ball by 2 feet and it goes around the table in another pocket. I think that's good for viewing, and that's what Matchroom are all about. They're a production company and they need viewership. So that makes the game a bit more exciting for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it goes either way as well, doesn't it? I mean, sometimes you get a fluke against you, sometimes you get a fluke. And sometimes it evens itself over the course of a match anyway. But the biggest thing, if you get a bad one against you, if you can block it out, I know it's easier said than done, but it makes you so much a better player. If you can just block that out, it really will do.
Yeah. The mental game is a big part of pool, and I've been working on that recently quite a lot as well. So I do encourage all you budding players to work on your mental game. Don't just go down the club and chuck balls on the table and pot them. You're going to pot them forever. Work on things off the table as well. That can really help your game.
Massive. I mean, for me, that's one of the biggest things I always focus on now in my game, just the mental side, because it's so underrated. And if you can master that, when you come up against them big name players, if you've mastered and you've got a good handle on your mental game, you're obviously going to probably cue the ball better. You're gonna hold your own a lot better and not ultimately crumble.
Yeah, a good tip is don't think about uncontrollables, things that you can't control, because they're out of your hands. And if you're going to worry about them, you're just going to do your head in even more. So concentrate what's in your hands, concentrate on your own game. Don't think about uncontrollable circumstances, i.e. who am I playing next? What's the prize money? Blah, blah, blah. Just worry about your own game. Yeah, just play within yourself as much as you can.
Yeah,
that's
good
advice.
Yeah, good advice. Well, just one final thing. I mean, we're going on a bit here actually tonight. We've had a good chat, but just one final thing, Imran, just for us before we all do a runner. What's your next event coming up, and how are you practicing for it? Because I'm expecting you to go even deeper this next event, whatever it may be, based on the form you've been putting in. So just tell us a little bit about that for us.
Thanks for the vote of confidence, firstly, Matt. Then, I've just come back from the pool club now. Actually, I've put in my 4 hours, my daily 4 hours. Spent 1.5 hours on the break, an hour and a half on jumping actually today, and a little bit on some kicking systems. I'm a bit knackered, but that's my regime. That's going to be my schedule every day until the next event will be US1 in billiards in Connecticut, Jason Shaw's club, which is a matchroom ranking event. It's 25,000 added as well, which is nice to have some added money in a tournament for once. And after that, straight off to Atlantic City for the big US Open. So Jason Shaw's tournament is a little warm up. And and put me in good stead, hopefully, for the US Open.
If you go deep in that first, that's going to put you in really good shape for the US Open.
Yeah. Talking about Jason Shaw, I was just in Dubai the other day and the other week, and Jason Shaw's opened up a billiard lounge over there, and it's through my sponsors, Night Shot. Night Shot are the biggest billiard suppliers in the Middle East. So if you need any billiards equipment or sporting needs, go to nightshot.com. Anyway, this pool club is amazing. I did a video on Instagram a couple of weeks ago, and hopefully going to do some tournaments there. So watch that space as well.
Oh, brilliant! Well, that's great. Thanks for coming on, Imran, for a start. I mean, especially with the first edition of what we've got going on here.
Absolutely, it's been great to have you on. Well, you broke up there, Jim.
And continues, and people can support it, and following in the footsteps of Windows Open, if you like, you could become like the UK version of Windows Open. When you called me yesterday, you said you wanted me on your first show. It was an absolute pleasure, and I was kind of overwhelmed. You've got all these other great players out there: Shane Van Boning, Joshua Filler, blah blah blah. The list goes on, but you chose me, so thanks for that.
Well, UK centric, aren't we? Initially, we've got to get you on UK first show.
Absolutely,
Imran Majid. But it's been brilliant actually listening to some of those little stories and things. And
that's it. We go back way too far not to just get you involved, Imran.
I've got a lot more stories actually. So
we can get you back on in the future.
Have me on the show another time, it will be an absolute pleasure. I've got some stories about when I was in America and stuff. Maybe we could go over a couple of stories.
Yeah, brilliant. Well,
sounds like a plan.
Imran, yeah, thanks a lot for coming on. Like I say, we'll definitely call you up on them stories in the future.
Imran, thanks very much for coming on our show. Thanks very much for being the first person to do our show, and I look forward to seeing you very soon. And good luck in the States on your coming ventures out there, mate.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot. Okay.